Hello there, and welcome to Dharma Science Radio, your one-stop shop for the most foundational awareness on human design that I can possibly provide for you. My name is Ian, and today we're talking about my personal body graph. You see, today this is the beginning of Season 2 for what was previously called Third Lining It, What Not to Do and Why Not to Do It, and now I've rebranded this into simply Body Graph Analysis. This is all about how to read a body graph chart. How to understand what's going on when you look at one of these charts so that you don't even have to pay me or anybody else in order to understand who and what you are. There's all kinds of free software that allows you to create a body graph. All you need to do is know your own birth time, your birth location, input that data online, and then boom, you're provided a chart, much like this one right over here. And so this is my personal chart, and I've also got some added details in here. You'll notice that instead of simply having all this information streaming down the left and the right in a linear line, the way in which I have it configured is in the magic resonance square, and also with the new feature from Neutrino Design that gives me access to keynotes right here, where I can see that my 48th gate from, let's see, that's personality Jupiter, I can see that it's the gate of depth in the line of action. So what kind of action does my depth take? Well, I like talking about human design, if you couldn't tell. So when we're talking about human design, when we're talking about the body graph, how do we make sense of what this is all about? Well, the very first thing, this is what I talk about the most, are the chakras, also called energy centers. Here's the head center. This is also called the crown chakra from Old Sanskrit. This is all about inspiration. This is pressure to think. You'll see that my crown center, there's no activations. There's a 63, a 61, and a 64 right here. These are what's called gates. And I have no planet activating any of these gates, meaning I have a wide open crown, wide open head center. Now that means that I could be inspired by absolutely anything in this life. It doesn't matter if something is important or not. I could be inspired by it. And in the not self, when I listen to my thinking mind and I take that thing seriously, then I'm being specifically inspired by what does not matter. The least important thing becomes the most important thing when I take my thinking mind seriously. How dangerous that can be. Oh my gosh. What a time waster. Oof. Wasting all my life force energy on things. Oh my gosh. It's a whole rabbit hole there. Next up is the Ajna chakra. This is right here. This downward pointing triangle. You'll see there's a bunch of other gates here. And I've got a few of these activated, the 17 and the 43. The 17 gives me a capacity for logic and opinions. The 43 gives me a capacity to have my own insight. I've got my own individual insight into the truth and the facts of the matter. Now, because this ajna is undefined, because the 43 does not have a 23, because the 17 does not have a 62, because the 56 does not have an 11, it means that my mind is open. My ajna is undefined. I could conceive of thinking in all kinds of different ways. The thing is that I can think in almost any way, and it will most likely be found along a track of either logic or insight. There's either some kind of an insight or some kind of a logic that brought me to whatever it is I'm thinking. Now, thankfully, I found human design so that my one-track mind, this exalted 43-4, has the chance at actually communicating something of value, at least to those of you who I can consider a friend. And so this ajna, when undefined, it's always interested in, being right, being correct, being certain, being mentally strong, having mental fortitude, knowing this from that. And so I can never be certain in this life. And that's okay for me. I don't need to be certain. The thing is, I can think all kinds of different ways. Either self-serving or selfless. Doesn't matter to me. I can judge whether the thought and the thought form, the string of thinking, is leading somewhere or it's going nowhere. This is the wisdom I've developed over time by following my inner authority and type strategy. You see, if I was listening to my mind and taking everything seriously, then I would be so inspired to tell you about this new thing I've just found and how important it is that you understand exactly what I'm trying to tell you. And when I was younger, oh my gosh, I found a new thing every week. The latest thing. Now this is the answer to everything. I'm certain. Now this is the answer to everything. I know it is. Now this is the answer to everything. And oh my gosh, it goes on and on and on. The joke is now I've found the answer to everything and, well, I can't just give it to you, is the ultimate joke. The answer to everything is beyond words. The truth is not something that can simply be spoken. For if I have spoken the truth, it is only a part of the truth, at the very best. And that's part of my own logical insight. And I'm okay with that. Down here, this is the throat center. This is all about communication. This is all about transformation. This is about the metabolism and the thyroid. You see, every single energy center in the body graph is basically trying to get here, trying to get to manifestation in the throat. Have you heard about the laws of attraction and how to consciously manifest? Well, it's basically all because all roads lead to Rome. Everywhere leads to the throat. Everywhere leads to manifestation. That's where we want to go. That's where we want to get. And mine is defined. My throat center, my communication center, my manifestation and transformation center is defined. It's defined to my spleen. Now this is interesting because the splenic center is the first awareness center that evolved. We share the spleen with all the plants, all the birds, all the bees, all the mammals, all the reptiles, all the animals, because this is the origin of awareness. This is the origin of oneness in that sense. This is existential right now awareness of the present moment. And so this 1648 is a fun channel. This is a channel of experimentation. It's called a design of talent. It means that I practice and I practice and I practice and I practice. Little by little, I get better because I keep trying and I keep trying and I keep trying. And it's part of what I am. It's part of what makes me who and what I am, that I continually try to communicate and to manifest a transformation into this world through the process of communication. Now that I'm aware of this process occurring and the power of my own verbal gunslinging, the capacity that I could speak from the existential now, I still have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth next. The difference is that when I was younger, I didn't wait for clarity. I didn't have any degree of patience whatsoever, and so I could say some pretty rude things. And I didn't notice this, but I used to be a little bit of a bully to my own friends, because my friends were a bully to me. And I was identified with that. And over time, I grew out of it, because I realized it's no fun to be mean to each other. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to be satisfied. And if my satisfaction is at the expense of your satisfaction, well, then something's got to change. Because if we can't be satisfied together, there's no point in being anywhere near each other, as far as I'm concerned. We need to be satisfied, successful, and surprised at how peaceful it can be when we're together. Otherwise, I'm not interested.
The biggest problem I was having was getting my head wrapped around all of the content and all of the information held within the human design system. Ian really made it simple for me to engaged my curiosity for one, but made it approachable enough to where I felt like I could immediately get value out of the conversation and immediately start applying things to my day-to-day life, where it didn't seem like some big puzzle I had to solve. It was an immediate solution to something that I was dealing with in my life. How am I going to apply this with any sense of reality? And he made it so simple and so easy that I have now been on another year and a half since that first meeting with him and my first introduction into human design. And it has really given my overall life experience and the quality of my conscious experience a great boost, and overall something I would highly recommend to anyone else that's early on in their years, or even months sometimes, like I was at human design.
I've been following Ian for about a year now, and I got the chance to work with him recently. The way that his knowledge of human design expands when you're in his presence to fit what you need exactly is something that is a joy to work with and a joy to see live in person.
Oh my gosh, this session was so unique because Ian really made it feel like I didn't have to worry about expectations. I didn't have to have a certain outcome be a certain way, and really helped me understand that I could just kind of ease my way into this. And he was so conversational about it that it felt like I looked up and the time had gone so quickly that I wasn't expecting it to be as much value as it was for as easy as it felt.
I definitely recommend getting a reading, getting a chance to work with Ian. He's one of the kindest souls I've met and has a really firm grasp on the information in human design. Definitely recommend.
I would recommend working with Ian for anyone that is wanting to have someone that will be both there to nurture your curiosity about human design and the fun things that you can explore about it, but also will challenge you and push you in a direction that will get you up and moving and using it in your real life. I think more than anything else, if you want to not just mentally know this system, if you want to understand how to apply it and use it and see immediate results, Ian is the person I would recommend for that. I think it is important for people to remember that this is an experiment. It is not something that you can try without trying. Like you can't get the flavor of something unless you've chewed it up and swallowed it, right? And this is one of those things where Ian does such a wonderful job of making each thing that you're experiencing understandable, and allows you to apply it with repetition. So it's not just a one-time thing. You learn how to build really good habits and how to build really good ways to honor your own authority in your own life. And from there, he lets you go and then you can fly. It's pretty remarkable how well he sets up my overall experience within human design for the purpose of changing my life, which it really did.
So this G center right here, this G center is another undefined center for myself, and so this is where I'll find my own not self, and this is one where I personally have recognized it a lot in my life growing up. You see, this G center, when this G center is undefined, this was not identified as a chakra in the classical seven-centered yoga traditions. This G center holds together the hologram of separation, and it moves us along our line of geometry through the agency of what's called the magnetic monopole. Now, this is very mystical stuff, and I don't need to get into all the details of what's going on there in this moment. However, basically, the G center gives us our sense of identity, and it gives us our direction in this life. And so what this means is that for the longest time, I had no idea who I was. I had absolutely no idea, because I don't have a consistent sense of self. You see, the function of this G center is to literally produce the sense of self and the direction that self is going in. Mine's not fixed. It's not consistent. So who I am, how I express myself, was heavily dependent upon who I was around. I took after who I was around strongly. So when I was around bad influences, oh my gosh, I was a monster. Now that I've begun to trust my own inner authority, I see that I have a 3740 as my personality sun Earth. I'm all about the bargain. I'm all about the agreement. I'm all about communication. I'm all about friends. I'm all about family. I'm all about loving each other over the dinner table, you know? Like, let's just have a big meal and talk it out. Doesn't matter what the problem is. It's okay. We can find a solution. We can hold each other together. You know, I'm a tribal definition being. I love being together. I love eating together. I love vibrating high with the success of our satisfaction. Oh my gosh. It's so fun to be with tribe. And when I was younger in the not self, I was seeking that from the outside because I didn't have a way to give it to others from within myself. So I was seeking it from the outside. I was looking to others for love. I was looking to others for direction. I was looking to others to provide me with my tribe. I moved on from one family to another. You know, I moved out from my own home where there was my mother, my stepdad, my two younger brothers, my stepbrother, my stepsister. I just up and left because I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, nope, this is not the place for me. I need to go find it somewhere else. I was always seeking outside of myself, some other person to give me direction. So I moved in with a friend of mine, and then some drama happened there too, and I moved in with another friend, and some drama happened there too, and I moved in with another friend, and on and on and on. I was always seeking outside of myself something I could not provide from the outside, instead of simply accepting that I do not have a consistent direction. I do not have consistent access to self-love. And that's okay. I can recognize it. I can see it as a function of the body graph right here. And now that I see it as a function of the mechanics for the body that I was born inside of, meh, doesn't bother me. I don't mind. I love myself to the end of the earth and back. Because now I was about to say the choice. Now I recognize the value in self-love. And I don't have the choice to not love myself. You know, I used to say that I believe in free will as if I have a choice. It was this wonderful joke that I would tell before I knew anything about human design. And now I think it's so funny because I can't believe in free will whatsoever. I can believe in choice, however, not free will. For you see, the will is a function of this right here. This right here is what's called the ego center or the heart center. This is the source of will power. This is where the mechanics of the will come from. It's our ego. It's our heart. I have a defined ego. 4037 defined to my solar plexus, the center of emotions. Now, because I have a defined ego, it means that I know my worth. On some level, I have always known my worth. The challenge is when I listen to my mind, I could distract myself away from the truth and think I'm worthless because of what I'm able to do or not do in the physical world. If I listen to the conditioning from other people, and my self-worth depends on what I'm able to produce and do, it's miserable. It's misery. Because I'll just need to, I need to find the direction outside of myself, this G center, where I can pretend to be certain, the Ajna center, about something that doesn't matter, this head center. And that's what I was obsessed with growing up. It's like, I need to find something that doesn't matter to be certain about, because that will give me the direction I'm looking for. That will give me the control I'm looking for. You see, I'm a simple split. And simple split definitions, well, we've got this thing wherein we tend to blame ourselves for problems. And we also have specific themes that are very interesting to us. And one of the most poignant for me is this 21st gate in the ego. It's the only ego gate that I don't have activated. I have the 45, but I don't have the 21. Now this 21 is the gate of control. So my mind has always been interested in how do I control the situation? How do I control what is happening? Well, the joke is I have no control, and I never will. That's not what my life is about. My life is about accepting the lack of control, accepting that there is no control for my mind to find in this world. However, if I can accept that my body is in control of living its own life, then I can see something emerge and unfold that goes beyond my wildest dreams. And it's quite fascinating to see, because I never know what's coming next. And yet I can always watch it. I can see it coming. Isn't that paradoxical? You see, this ego center, this means that I'm here to work. The ego needs to do some degree of work, particularly if you have the 40th gate. And especially you got a 4037. You see, this is about being able to put in the work in order to rest. I'm not simply out here working my ass off nonstop all day long forever. I can't. I would exhaust my heart. My will to live would be lost. If you've been listening to me for a little while, you might have heard that. I used to do 10-hour days, and I lasted about 2 weeks before I quit because I wanted to no longer be alive. And that's not okay. So no matter what had to happen, it had to be different. I could not maintain 10-hour days working construction. It was just not fun. It was not satisfying. It did not fulfill me. And so by honoring my willpower, I let go of that job and I quit. You know, Ra says us generators are the great quitters of the world. The generator, I'll talk more about that soon. We are the great quitters of this world because, quite simply, we have a defined sacral center, and the sacral center sits right here. This sacral center, I like to see us as like buzzing worker bees for Mother Gaia. Buzzing worker bees for Mother Earth. And we're always doing something. We're always going towards something. We're always backing away from something. Our body's going, or you know? And the thing is, so many generators are out here frustrated because their body's going, and their mind goes, we have to, and their body goes, until they get really sick. And those of us who have a little bit of receptivity within us to allow our bodies some authority in our lives, we just quit. We just let go. We just move on. Like, forget that noise. That's not for me. And so the sacral is a very powerful engine. This is the source of all life force energy. As a generator, I must use my energy correctly. I must use my resource of energy up during the day so that I can sleep well at night. Like if I wasn't sitting here recording all this and expending the highest possible energy I can to share positive knowledge with you, I wouldn't be able to sleep well tonight. And I know the difference. I know what it's like to get a good night's sleep. I know what it's like to use my energy well. I know what it's like to be satisfied. And I would not have life any other way. Once I got a taste of satisfaction for real, oh my God. I can't give it up. I can't let it go. And the thing is, it's not just some addiction to this satisfaction of the generator. Because when you're a generator and you know your inner authority, you know your type strategy, then you are clued in to the global positioning system, your GPS. then you're learning how to make decisions correctly as a uniquely differentiating being. And so if you're a third line like me, when you make a, quote, mistake, unquote, you learn from it and you grow from it. And things are never the same again. Like last week, I was getting away with this for a good 2 weeks or more. I was having like half a cup of sugar almost every night. Absolutely crazy. Half a cup of sugar? I thought that because I was eating one meal a day, I could get away with a half a cup of sugar in that meal because it tastes good. You know, I'm a third line. I figure life out through the school of hard knocks. First-hand direct experience what does or does not work. And I tell you what, half a cup of sugar every day, even if you're eating only one meal a day, is probably bad for your health. For me, it was very bad for my health. It was dulling my mind. It was making me stupid. Naively, I thought, well, you know, it's hot food and I'm a hot thirst determination, so it's hot and it's wet. It's got sugar on it. Yeah, it's really sweet. Tastes good. Ah, it must be good for me. No. Turns out it's still bad for me. And I found that out by trusting my inner authority. By letting myself go, quote, too far, unquote, and learning from my mistakes. Instead of walling myself off and forcing myself to not make a mistake out of fear of failure, I allow myself to fail, and then I learn, I get back up, and I go for it again. This is a lot of what it means to be a third line. You know, if you got a third line in your profile, like you're a 1-3 or a 3-6 or a 6-3, whoo, or a 3-5, gosh, you got to get back up again, and you know it, because life is going to knock you down again, and you know it, and it's all going to be okay, because in the end, one way or another, life goes on, with or without you. If you're there, great. If you're not there, also great. You know, it's funny. It's very funny to be alive and aware. All of a sudden, everything becomes a joke. All the traps of the mind, trying to make shit up, trying to trap you into behaving false, trap you into frustration and distorted fields of unhappy energy. Ugh. It becomes a joke when you don't take the thinking mind so seriously. Down here in the root center, this is the form principle itself. This is where form comes from, I would say. Oh, it's so profound. This is where the Kundalini comes from, you know? This is that life force energy that has now been formatted and is rising up, or it's being squandered on lower desires. And I tell you what, I've enjoyed plenty of lower desires. The carnal meat suit that just wants pleasure. Well, the thing that happens is that when you engage with too much pleasure, it becomes pain. The pleasure itself becomes the source of the pain, and you don't notice it at first because the pleasure dulls your senses. You don't notice it until on some level it's too late. Oh no, I was eating all that sugar. It was making me stupid. Now that I let go of it, haven't had any sugar like a week. You can see, I can see, my mind is pretty sharp. You know, I feel pretty alive. I'm feeling pretty enthusiastic about sharing. It's beautiful to trust in my own inner authority for making decisions, unlike anything else I've ever done in my entire life, and it keeps surprising me with new ways to find satisfaction. So this root center is about the adrenal glands. This is about the pressure of life, the pressure to physically move. Whereas over here in the head center at the top, this is the pressure to think, the pressure to conceptualize. Down here in the root, this is the pressure to move, the pressure to behave. For people that have an undefined root, oh my gosh, If they listen to their mind and their mind goes in there, that undefined root center starts amplifying it, then they are busy for the sake of being busy. Eventually, to alleviate the pressure is the goal. However, they're busy for the sake of being busy, for the sake of being busy, for the sake of being busy until they're dead. Because if you identify with your mind and if you identify with amplifying these not self themes, it goes forever. This is what allowed our ancestors to survive and dominate the earth for 90,000 years or more. And for us, it doesn't work that way anymore. We're receptive. There's a whole new order of life that's unfolding right before our eyes. Have you been paying attention to the news? A lot is changing. And if you trust your inner authority and type strategy, then you've got a chance of being on the right side of history. Or rather, on the right side of your story, not his story. That's the old world. This is about your story. This is about my story. This is about unique individual human beings living our lives. Can you handle the pressure? 'Cause it's why I breathe real deep. Quickest way to alleviate stress, through the breath. Has anybody ever told you that you don't know how to breathe properly? Because if you're stressed out, you don't know how to breathe properly. If you're identified with your thinking, and if you cause problems for yourself and those around you because you think about things that don't matter, or you look for love and direction outside of yourself and it always crumbles upon you, if you avoid conflict and the truth and it turns out to be a big problem, well, I'd say it's because you don't know how to breathe properly. So let me remind you, when you're breathing, it's really helpful to let your belly fill up when you inhale, to let your chest fill up when you inhale, and to release and to relax, to slow down. If you want to speed up, you can speed up. There's a powerful breath work called the Wim Hof method. You can find it right here on YouTube. I love that practice because I used to be so stressed I was screaming in my car at the top of my lungs. How am I going to handle this? What am I going to do about this? I was taking my thoughts seriously and amplifying nonsense till I started breathing like this. It's very profound. You start doing some breathing like that, you feel a biological chemical shift in your body. You keep doing that for a little while, you might get lightheaded. You can't think anymore. And you know what? If you do it in the right environment, you're sitting down quietly and you do your breathing, or you're standing up if you want to, though I recommend sitting down because I've done it once before where I was walking back and forth in the back alley before going into work. I was a dishwasher, classical 1-3 stuff at the very bottom of the foundation, making sure the whole story continues, putting in my work. I was doing an opening shift at a restaurant called BJ's in Laguna Beach, California. And before I went into my shift, I did some Wim Hof while walking back and forth in the alley. And you know what the thing was? For a microsecond, I passed out. For a microsecond, I lost consciousness. Just enough to realize, oh, hey, I'm falling down. And I collapsed onto the ground, hit my knee real bad, scraped up my pants. And I laughed my ass off at what I had just done to myself. We 1-3s, we like to push it too far to learn where the boundaries are. And I learned that day, I tell you what. You do some powerful hyperventilizing breath work like Wim Hof, please be sitting down or lying down, because you can lose consciousness, you can go into another world, you can have a psychedelic experience for free, from your breath, and it's amazing. Nobody can take that away from you. So there's your reminder. Breathe deeply. Be present with yourself. The last energy center I'll be talking about today is over here. And it's not even the last one. I'll still speak a little more on the spleen. However, for the moment, the solar plexus. This is my inner authority, you know? I'm an emotional inner authority being. This means that I feel very deeply. I have access to so much information that goes through my body and my mind at any given moment. I can't possibly keep up. All I can do is be patient with it, to see the curve of the energy over time, and to share that with you as my relative clarity. Because if I try to rush myself, I rush myself right headfirst into a wall, and it sucks. So I slow down and I breathe deep. And the clarity simply comes out naturally, perfectly, beautifully. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Really. It also means I have access to no truth in the now. I don't have access to the truth. In fact, I know that I can't speak it. I know that no one can. That's my personal knowing. And I'm not certain about it, yet I know it. I won't try to prove it to you, because I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you think. I care how you feel. Are you happy? Are you having a good time? Are you satisfied? Are you successful? Are you at peace? Are you surprised? If not, then I'm happy to support you in finding your signature vibration. Because the joy of a good signature vibration is that it dissolves all the distorted vibrations, all the distorted frequencies of frustration, of bitterness, of anger and disappointment. They dissolve in the light of truth. In the light of your signature, water off a duck's back. No big deal. It's all good. This is your life after all. Over here in the spleen, a little bit more on the spleen, because, if your spleen is undefined, be aware. Western pharmaceutical medicines might not be for you. They might be hurting you more than they're helping you. And I don't say this as any kind of medical advice. Always consult your doctors, you know. Trust your inner authority. Be responsible for yourself. And yet when you have an undefined splenic center, less is more. The tiniest little amount of support can be amplified into massive differences. If you're a defined spleen like me, well, I'm like a workhorse, you know? I can take it all. Just give me more. Just give me more. I need the strong stuff. Give me that good stuff. I need it now. You know? It's the nature of what it means to be an animal. This is the awareness we share with all the animals, and the plants, and the insects. So have patience with yourself, is my request. Because I'm trying to talk about myself here, and I wind up talking about the whole universe. You know, I'm a peripheral perspective. That's this variable right here, this arrow pointing to the right. It's a peripheral perspective. It means I'm always coming in from the biggest possible picture I can. I'm not here to focus in on the tiniest little detail. Though those details simply come out of me as I'm looking at a big picture. At any rate, I could go on with one of these charts forever. And I've only got so much willpower in me in each moment, with each breath. So that's about all I have for that in this moment. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you got any questions, feel free to let me know down below. Take care. Bye for now. If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.